Good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us tonight. On the program tonight, we turn to the state of the nation, where the Tinubu administration is celebrating what it calls positive economic indicators, even as many Nigerians say the reforms behind those numbers are still making life much harder for millions of Nigerians. At the same time, political rhetoric is heating up, with former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai accusing President Bala Ahmed Tinubu of plotting to stay in power for life. There are also questions about the succession plans at the Independent National Electoral Commission, with growing debate over who will replace Professor Mahmood Yakubu and what that means for credibility of future elections in Nigeria. Joining me tonight to help provide some insight and developments on this particular talking point is Bala Ibrahim, Director of Publicity at the APC National Headquarters here in Abuja. Bala, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
It's my pleasure being with you, Abdullahi.
Right. So over the past couple of days, we've seen some positive numbers from inflation coming down marginally to the stability of the naira, even though the past 24 hours we've witnessed some level of volatility. But all things considered, Nigeria's economic growth is bigger than that of the United States, for instance, in the second quarter of this year. One of the fastest growing economies, at least based on the data. Do you understand why some people think that these numbers are beginning to look suspicious? And to some people, it looks like political figures instead of the real picture of what is actually happening with the Nigerian economy.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. For starters, I am not a statistician, neither am I a mathematician. I am not good with figures, but I'm a realist. Realist in the sense that I work with indices that reflect on reality and tell on the lifestyle of the people. Certainly, from the time the Tinubu administration came to power, not even to say from the time our party came into power in 2015, there have been changes. There have been reservations. There are a lot of concerns from the people with regards the pace of achievement and the speed with which the country will be taken out of the woods. By nature, human beings are high expectants. They want to see things happening at the speed of light, and things don't happen necessarily like that in life. So this government in particular has come with a renewed hope agenda. That is putting additional hope on the hope that was put on the people prior to 2015 when the APC took control. But in doing so, the government had introduced a number of reforms, courageous reforms that were introduced by a courageous leader who believes in putting things that will galvanize into comfort for the people. And when you try to initiate reforms, you get resistance from people because they don't want to move from the state of certainty to a state of uncertainty. But so far, from what is happening, I think changes are beginning to show, and show in a way and manner that is positive.
So how do you explain the contradiction when it comes to what the government is saying, or what the government believes is happening, what the APC believes is happening, and what Nigerians feel is the reality on ground? Why are there contradictions between the numbers and the reality of everyday Nigerians?
No, there are no contradictions per se. But you see, by nature, man is selective or choosy in what he believes. By nature, man is an ambitious and anxious person. So much so that if what he sees on the ground does not reflect his aspiration or ambition, he may decide to reject it or refuse it. This is why you see people choosing that which to believe and choosing that which to reject. And that is why you sometimes say there is conflict or contradiction. But there is no contradiction. Certainly, science is something that is systematic and is based on research or investigations using raw and verifiable data. And all these things that are happening today, they are in tandem with scientific research, and they are in tandem with what is obtained based on what has been put in place.
So you don't think the accusation that some of these numbers are politically motivated are true?
In a political dispensation, in a political era, even the air you breathe is political. There is just nothing that will not come without political connotation. So what you say something is politically manipulated, of course, you do things with a view to pleasing or meeting the aspirations of the politics of the day. And what is the politics of the day? What is the ambition of politics? What do you want to achieve politically? You have to align reality with the politics of the time, and you have to use politics to present this thing. So everything that is done under a political dispensation is political, and everything that is done under a military dispensation can be seen as military or dictatorial. That's it.
So it's fair that Nigerians should take these new data sets with a grain of salt?
If they want to accept reality, if they want to align with reality, they should take it so. Because the government has promised to renew their hope. The government has promised to work in line with their wishes. And therefore, everything the government is doing, it keeps saying, please and please. The government is saying, we feel your pain, and we are doing that which will ease your pain. And therefore, whatever you see is in line with our plan or our ambition of relieving you of that pain. So please accept it in good faith and believe that tomorrow will surely be better than today. As long as that line of thinking is followed, everything is going to go well.
So how do you respond to the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, who question the performance of the APC administration when it comes to the management of the economy? Because they say, listen, the most important indicators are people's purchasing power, affordability, the cost of living crisis. These things are still the basis for the conversation around whether the administration is doing well or not, and that hasn't changed much.
The people you mentioned, Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, are members of the opposition. As a matter of fact, they are leading the opposition. As a matter of fact, their ambition is to push this government and come into power. Therefore, we are not expecting this type of people to press sing. We are not expecting them to applaud. We are not expecting them to cheer. We are not expecting them to support what the government is doing.
But we at least expect them to be honest. Do you think they are not being honest about their assessment of the administration?
Yes, they are not.
They're being dishonest?
Well, I don't know whether dishonest is what to call it.
I mean, if one is not being honest, he's definitely being dishonest. There's no in-between, right?
Okay. Every time we are here, Abdullahi, we always go into linguistic
right, I'm just saying, is either you're telling the truth or you're lying. There is no in-between, is there?
Okay, let's take it that way.
Right.
Let's take it that way.
Right.
Because I hold them in esteem. Atiku Abubakar was a former is a former vice president. Peter Obi was a governor. These are people I hold in esteem. These are people I respect, and therefore I don't want to brand them as dishonest. But I can say they are being economic with the truth because they are opposition members, and therefore I don't expect them to sing the song of this government. Their ambition is to take over from this government, and therefore they will not clap for what the government is doing, even if they believe in what the government is doing. In any case, during campaign, all the things this government is doing, they made similar promise. Are they now coming to say the government is doing that which they promised to do, but the result the government is getting is in conflict with which they thought they will get when they have been given the chance to do? No. But in politics, you look at the status of a person and see whether you can look at him on the face and say he's dishonest. And I cannot look at Atiku Abubakar by virtue of his position and say he's a dishonest person. But I can say as an opposition member, he is playing politics with the truth.
Right. And if you have to be straightforward with the response, do you believe what they're saying?
No, I don't believe in what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't believe in what they're saying, and I don't expect them to believe in what I am saying. That is politics. We are all trying
Yeah, but what
to
is the truth, Mali Ibrahim? Because Nigerians just want to know who is telling them the truth.
The government is telling them the truth. The other people, you see, these people, even if we say the glass
Aren't you motivated to say that for political reasons?
Well, yes, politics motivate us to say the truth. But politics equally motivate us...
Or to bend it.
No. Bending the truth is not the ambition of politics. No. But there is a way you can say the truth in a way and manner that it may pain the person that is listening to you, but in a way and manner that massages that pain such that you relieve the pain. You can say the truth bluntly, blindly, regardless of what his reaction will be. And that is not fair. Even if you want to say no, in politics you are expected to make it sound like a yes. You may call it deception, but it's not necessarily deception. It's probably a way of telling the truth to a person that may not understand it because probably he does not understand the dynamics. You have the advantage of certain things at your disposal which he may not have. Now, in order not to upset his already beleaguered situation, you say it in a way and manner that will not aggravate the pain. That's politics.
Right. All right. Talking about politics, I mean, there's this heavy concern that much of the political actors are flouting the law, the provisions of the Electoral Act when it comes to banning campaigns, because it does look like we're in campaign mode already. If you consider the body language and the rhetoric of the opposition, and also you consider what's happening with the ruling party, the APC, for instance. In fact, some have accused the APC of starting the conversation about 2027 early, since that summit, or in the build-up to that APC national summit where the endorsement trend began. Talk to me about whether that is a fair reflection of what is happening right now, that the administration, just like the party, is already in campaign mode for 2027.
No, I disagree with that, and I don't blame the people that are making this assertion. I don't blame them. Probably I blame their limitations to research on the meaning of campaign. There is a difference between campaign and politicking. In a political dispensation, every day it's a political time. Every day is time to play politics. You can play politics all through the duration of political era. But campaign differs from politicking. Campaign differs from the soliciting for vote. Campaign differs from doing that which would elicit or invite people to come and cast their vote. And if you check what the law says with regards campaign, there are certain characteristics that have to be on display or visible before you say you are calling for vote or you are campaigning.
We've seen the billboards physically, we've seen the endorsements, and everything is tethered around 2027. So I'm not sure if your characterization of what is happening, and you talk about politicking and campaigning, aren't they driving at the same thing, the end game, which is to win an election? Because a campaign is about organized action with an end goal, which is to win the election. And everything that we're hearing from the administration, from your party, is about winning 2027.
If you check the Electoral Act, there are 6 features, characteristics that have to be visible. They have to be there before you can declare the situation campaign. And all the things you mentioned are not part of those
Billboards
6
are not?
features. They are not.
Billboards are not?
No, they are not. I don't have them all at once, but there has to be an offer and acceptance by the campaigning candidate. There has to be a date for the election. There has to be time.
I'm not sure that's completely, true about campaigns. I mean, you're talking about an election. We're talking about strictly just campaigning. The elements of campaign are obvious. The political rhetoric is there. The billboards are there. The political activities are there. So what more do you need?
Okay, let's do what we always do here. Let's go to the dictionary definition of campaign.
Right.
Campaign is an exercise. As a matter of fact, what you and I are doing now is campaign. When you are reading in preparation for an examination, you are campaigning. When you are, there is what you call military campaign. Oh. It's an exercise that is designed to achieve a certain target or goal. Oh. Anything you do in preparation for something is campaign. Now you have political campaign. Then you also have an electoral campaign. If you are canvassing for votes, you can be said to be campaigning. But if you are politicking, someone can also say you are campaigning. But it's not, all these things are not in conflict with the electoral provision of electoral campaign.
So when the INEC national chairman says politicians, political parties are flouting the law because they are beginning the 2027 campaign way too early, are you saying that he's making this statement in isolation of what is already happening, or is he just responding to what is already happening on the ground?
No, he's doing so in isolation with what is supposed to be the meaning of electoral campaign. Because
the chair of the electoral umpire doesn't understand the difference between politicking and campaigning.
That is why sometimes matters go to court, because you cannot be a judge in your own case. That is why matters go to court for proper interpretation of what happened. You see, if what he said is the truth and he believes in it, he would have written to the parties, because the constitution or the law says he should do that in the event of default on the side of that provision by any of the political parties. Has he written to the parties and said, this you have done is in violation of the provision? The fact that he has not done so means somebody had corrected him and told him that what you said is not in tandem with what is in the books.
At the same event, you also had Professor Tahiru Jega, his predecessor, also double down and say, listen, politicians are undermining the electoral process by disregarding the rules of the game when they begin campaigns 2 years before the next general election, when the provision clearly states that campaigns take off 150 days before an election is due. So it's not necessarily an isolated comment. Most stakeholders in the industry believe that this has been normalized. I mean, you take a drive across the capital here. I mean, the last time I talked to you about this, you feigned ignorance. You said you've never seen any of those billboards. I don't know if you still believe that there are no campaign billboards, especially of your party across the federal capital.
It still goes back to what I was saying. Yeah. Billboards for politicking differ from billboards for political campaigns.
Is the message not the same?
No, they are not the same. You see, from the moment you swear a regime under a political party, then if there should be no billboards, there should be no political activities immediately after
the billboards
an
are saying 2027.
Yes, that is a target.
And what is going to happen in 2027?
We are hoping there will be an election.
You're hoping that there will be an election?
Yes, we're hoping there will be an election.
There is going to be an election.
We are hoping that only God can say there will be an election. But as human beings, we would
the INEC calendar says so. I mean,
the INEC calendar is subject to the action of God.
Right.
It doesn't say once.
I mean, if we live to see 2027.
Very good. And God permits.
Yeah.
And we have to. You see, I believe in God. I'm too confident in God. That's why whatever I do, I have to lean it against what God permits. It's God that will determine whether there may not even be 2027. If you go to the extreme by my religious belief, there may not even be 2027. But if there is 2027 and God permits that we are alive, and God permits that INEC is there, and God permits that there are candidates for the election, and they meet the requirement, and go ahead is given, there will be an election.
Right.
But all these things are subject to the permission of God. So the fact that Professor Tahiru Jega, who is a professor of political science, says that some politicians or some political parties are undermining the political process. The fact that he said it does not mean it's sacrosanct and it cannot be challenged. Professor Attahiru Jiga is a human being who had taken decisions when he was INEC chairman, and those decisions were challenged in court. If they can be challenged in court, it means someone doubted what he did and therefore rushed to court for interpretation. Nobody should ascribe to himself the monopoly of saying whatever he says is sacrosanct and it cannot be challenged, is binding. No, we are human beings. We are susceptible to mistakes or misunderstanding, and we can interpret things wrongly. So someone with a different opinion or different mindset can correct us, and we should submit to superior argument.
So in your honest view, the conversation around whether the activities of political parties and political stakeholders right now in the country tied to 2027 is anything but a campaign?
No, I said, you see, we are confusing the meaning of campaign. We must not look at campaign as the call for vote. No, it's not necessarily the call for vote. It's an exercise which political parties were registered to do. From the day you register a political party and you establish an executive committee of that party, the party has to be working. And what is it supposed to be doing? To be in the church or in the mosque praying? No, they are supposed to be politicking. They are supposed to be playing politics. And playing that politics is not just limited to the headquarters of the parties. They can run some of these politics on billboards. They can run some of these politics on newspapers. They can run some of these politics in platforms like this. They can run them on the social media.
Okay, just to read part of the INEC schedule on campaigns and political activities, he says, political campaigns are public activities and or events organized by a political party as a means of canvassing for votes by publicly projecting to the electorate ideas, program, policies, achievements as reasons for electorate's preference to the policies and programs of the party as contained in its manifesto.
Yeah, that's right. So which means
everything that the APC has been doing is not in violation of this particular...
No, it's not.
Okay, all right.
It's not. As a matter of fact, the APC is doing what that provision said.
Yeah, and it says, I mean, this is how the this is how the electoral umpire describes what a campaign is, right?
Yes, yes.
And then the bigger part, which is the concern that most people have. Campaigns are within 150 days from publication of notice of election and ends 24 hours before an election day. And we know we have more than 150 days before the next general election. We have well over a year plus.
Yeah.
So everything that's been happening right now crosses the line as far as the Electoral Act is concerned.
Not my party, the APC.
Right.
No.
I take your point about the thing you said earlier about subjective understanding or interpretation. So maybe your subjective interpretation of the Electoral Act permits you to see things differently.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. You see, to aspire for position is to call for people to vote you to that position under democracy. Is that right? Now, you have to engage the people and commit, appeal to them, and call for their support so that you enter into a contract with them. To enter into a contract, there must be an offer and there must be an acceptance. You have to present yourself for that position, or the people will call on you to take that position, and you must accept. If you don't accept, there is no contract. As of today, tell me who in the APC is the presidential candidate for the 2027?
Bala Tinubu.
How did you arrive at that?
Because the party unanimously endorsed him at the National Summit. Have you forgotten?
I have not.
It happened less than a year ago.
I have not. So the fact that you gave me your daughter,
right,
does that say, and I have not told you I have accepted, does that say I'm married to her? Can you go out and say...
What do you mean he has not accepted?
He has not.
He has not accepted?
Where have you gotten this affirmation?
When he spoke at that summit, did his speech say that he's not accepting?
What did the speech say? Where did he say, I have accepted the invitation to serve as the candidate for 2027. Where? It be fair to him.
So you want us to believe that the president is still thinking about accepting the offer of the APC to be adopted as the sole candidate of the party?
Until he says otherwise. You cannot shave his head in his absence.
Okay.
You cannot.
Let's not believe.
So we have to wait for him to say, yes, I have accepted the offer. Right. Then that is step one of the contract.
All right. Some would say it's as clear as day. It's a no-brainer. But anyway, politicians will always find a way to explain away certain things that they don't want to believe in. But let's segue into another matter that has raised some concerns. A couple of days ago, someone who I believe you're quite familiar with in terms of his political antecedents raised a very huge concern around what's to come. He did make this allegation that there is a chance that the Tinubu administration is trying to perpetuate the president beyond 2027. And earlier on, I don't know whether your comments should be taken seriously. You alluded to how 2027 may not happen as far as an election is concerned. Keyword may. But let's have a listen to what the former governor of Kaduna State had to say earlier over the weekend regarding what he thinks is a likely possibility of what the Tinubu administration is trying to do as far as the presidency is concerned.
So to me, it's a disgrace. I mean, for people to behave the way they are behaving. So it means that all the years of saying we are for democracy and Nigeria, it was all pretense, it was all fake. And all the claims that we are fighting for true federalism and so on, it's all fake again. Because this government is trying to centralize everything instead of devolving power to the lower levels. But the sum total of this is that we are facing an evil of such a large proportion in the history of this country that if we don't all come together and end this Tinubu administration by 2027, Tinubu will try to be our Orbia. He will stay, he will be president for life. All the signs are there. This is how Orbia started.
Yes, yeah.
All the signs are there.
All the signs are there. Evil is the term used by the former Kaduna State governor to describe the APC administration. He also did say, compare what may, in his own words, be an inevitable end if the opposition, according to him, do not come together to defeat the APC in 2027. He thinks that the Tinubu administration, he said the signs are there that the president could perpetuate himself as president for life, when he likened him to our next door neighbor, Cameroon's Paul Biya. Do you think that those comments were rather extreme?
Well, as a matter of policy, I don't join issues with Mala Nasru El-Rufai. One, I respect him a lot. Two, like him or leave him, there is something you cannot take away from him. He's a courageous person, he's an intelligent person, and he's a person who calls a spade by its name. But I don't like joining issues with him, even where I'm in disagreement with him, particularly in this era of AI-generated audio and video. Artificial intelligence has made it possible for people to make things that, when analyzed properly, may put the person that reacts to them in embarrassment.
You're not saying that we just played a doctored video. You're not saying that, right?
No, I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I am also not saying that you might not have done the reverse.
Is this the first time you're hearing of this clip?
May not be the first time I'm hearing it,
right,
but it's not to say
and
that
you know
I
that
believe it all the time.
But he has not denied the information from this particular video clip. It's something that has been trending for the past 48 hours and counting.
He might have denied it, but at a platform...
He has not denied it. I can assure you of that.
Well, I don't know until I meet him face to face,
right,
or physically, relying on video or audio. I'm a journalist, Abdullahi, And I've edited materials.
So you don't believe that we have the integrity to play something that is authentic? You don't believe that the word trust is something we take seriously?
You see, I've seen cameras there.
Right.
I've not seen the Trust TV camera there.
Right.
So which means, unless you tell me now that that recording was carried out in your studio, you understand me? You cannot push me into believing, more so by my training.
You don't want to believe that this is what Malam Nasser Rufai says.
I said, even if I want to believe, the fact that I'm a trained journalist that had edited before gives me the leeway to cast doubt over the credibility of a material that my own people, by my training, the medium that trained me, said I must not believe in a material until, I repeat, it came from 3 credible sources.
It's been verified, I can assure you of that.
Verified by my own 3 credible sources? No, or by your own?
By our own. If you believe that we know how to do our job, then you have no problem believing the content that we just played.
In this
Except
studio,
if you're saying you don't believe what we're saying.
In this studio, you and I have had misunderstanding based on perception.
Right.
So, therefore, you see, I'm even trying to speak outside. Because of that, there is the possibility that Malam Nasru's version may be the issue of a glass half full or half empty, like we have discussed several times.
Which part do you not believe? Do you not believe the part that he said we're witnessing evil as far as the APC administration is concerned, or that the president is trying to perpetuate himself? Which part of it do you not believe?
Civil can easily be edited to say evil. You know that? Civil can easily be edited to say evil. And I can do that. I have done it. So let's not go into it.
Are you deliberately trying to be contrarian about this?
You see, Abdullahi, I have done this job for more than 40 years.
Right.
I started my job as a journalist in 1985. From 1985, when the BBC employed me, I have been a journalist. I trained and I edited materials and I changed the narratives. I have changed things, so much so that things can be doctored to the conviction of everyone. And I have done this thing for 40 years. Why should you not give me the benefit of doubt? That when I say I doubt something, it doesn't mean it's not authentic. But I want to triple check, not just double check. And Malam Nasru, like I said, is one person I don't want to join issues with because I hold him in esteem.
I mean, I respect that, but to question the validity or the integrity of the content, I think is being disingenuous, because this has been circulating social media space, conventional media space, and there's no doubt about the authenticity of the message and the messenger in that particular video. Except if you want to disbelieve everybody, unless Malam Nasser Rufai calls you directly and says, I actually said it, so it's okay for you to believe it. But
that is one source.
Okay,
I still need 3 credible sources.
Okay, fine. I guess sometimes I would never get a direct answer from you. But let's segue into talking about elections. The tenure of the current national chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who is undoubtedly going to be at the receiving end of some sharp criticism. He's managed 2 general elections. He's going to be the longest serving INEC chairman when his term comes to an end in November. And obviously, the APC administration has, under the Tinubu administration, has the task of, or the president generally, has the task of nominating the next national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Your 2 cents, first and foremost, of what you think would be the legacy of Professor Mahmood Yakubu after conducting 2 general elections.
You see, Professor Yakubu is a friend, a colleague. We work together in the BBC, and he's one person that put his best, and he always wants to see the outcome reflect that best. Take it or leave it. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has done something that is supposed to be called commendable. Commendable in the sense that it was in his time that IREF, BVAS, and electronic voting was put to test. And he had done things...
I'm not sure about the electronic voting part, but of course, IREF and BVAS, yeah, sure.
Well, electoral voting does not mean you vote via the electronic medium necessarily. No. The fact that the results are transmitted is all part of the electoral process. If they are transmitted electronically, it's still part of the electronic voting. So this technology have been put to test with good result. We cannot say excellent, neither can we say bad, but they have been tested and seen to have produced the kind of result that is encouraging. So whatever anybody will say, we have to give it to Professor Mahmoud that he is leaving behind a legacy to which no one should cry about electoral rigging in a way and manner that was done before his coming. So he's leaving behind a legacy of at least projecting the wishes of the people via the vote they put on paper.
Right. So when all is said and done, the drama now is on who will succeed Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and stakeholders in the industry, stakeholders outside of the election community, political stakeholders, political parties, members of the opposition are expressing their concerns about who the administration is going to pick next, who the president is actually going to pick next, based on his antecedents, how he said things like it's his turn, how he feels entitled to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the build-up to 2023, how he said on record that power is not given, power is taken. Do you understand where that concern is coming from about the possibility of him nominating someone who is going to be too biased to run an election or organize an election that can be trusted and credible for Nigeria's democracy?
You see, anybody with that mindset is being wicked with regards the disposition of President Bala Ahmed Tinubu. Whatever I will say about President Bala Ahmed Tinubu, we must give it to him that yes, he is a Democrat who believes in the wishes of the people and in people getting that which they wish, regardless of how that thing is done, provided it is done democratically. He fought for democracy and he put his life at stake. So I don't think he's a person that will be seen to project the idea of hijacking or getting power undemocratically in a way and manner that violates the provision of democracy. No. If he says power, you have to grab it or you have to take it. I think we should understand it in the context of the provision of the electoral law. You have to go out and canvass for vote. You have to present yourself as somebody who has interest in that position. You have to go and campaign, make promises, and expect the people, based on your promises, to vote for you. That is the meaning of canvassing for vote. That is the meaning of going out to look for power. But you cannot sit in the comfort of your bedroom and say people should come and give you power. It doesn't happen that way. So right. Saying that power, you grab it or you get it or you take it, is not as if he's saying you should go and get power by the use of the bullet. No, by the use of the ballot. And how do you get it by the ballot? You must go and canvass for it. You must go and ask people to give you that vote. That's why I told you earlier on that as of now, he has not accepted that offer to contest come 2027. But that is not to say he will not do so later. But he will do it only when he gets to the edge of the bridge when he is intending to cross the river.
Right. Applying the principle of law of diminishing return to the electoral history of how a president wins big or marginally in his first term and then struggles to win the subsequent elections, and you consider how marginal the victory was in 2023, how concerned are you that if the next general election is going to be a referendum on the Tinubu performance, that your party, your candidate may not survive it? If history is something that we should factor into the conversation.
Okay, for now we don't have a candidate, but when we present a candidate,
which is going to be the president?
I hope so. I can see you're optimistic, and I want to buy from your optimism.
It's a no-brainer.
What? You may be having a privileged intelligence.
Have we ever had a president who turned down a nomination in the history of Nigeria?
I don't know, but
I can tell you that we've never had a president who turned down a nomination.
Okay, thanks for educating me, and I always like to be educated.
I think you know already.
I like to be educated
I think you know already.
So, but I know a nomination is based on an offer and acceptance by the candidate. The people or the party will present him, and when the party presents him, party campaigns for him, solicit for vote, and hope he wins. Now, if we go by your optimism and prayers that Tinubu...
I'm not praying, I'm not optimistic. I'm just stating the facts.
So, if Tinubu now accepts this invitation, are you saying you will not pray for his victory?
I don't think so. I don't think I will pray for anybody's victory. Okay. I'll pray for Nigeria's victory.
No problem. Yeah. One vote out of the votes, millions of votes we are expecting will not make any difference, but no problem. We hope he accepts to run. And if he accepts to run, based on his antecedents, based on the performance of the party, based on the performance of the government, we are optimistic we are going to beat that margin of 2023.
So, you don't think historical context applies to Bala Tinubu?
Historical context like?
In the sense that when you're asking for a return in any election after serving a 4-year term, usually you shed some votes because people have seen what you can do, and more often than not, you have a lot of dissatisfied voters who are not necessarily happy with your performance, and you shed some of those votes. You don't believe that it will apply to Bala Tinubu in 2027?
No, I don't think it will apply to him.
Because he has done well?
Very well. One.
Very well? You would say very well?
No, very well. That's one. And two, because the party is continuously growing in strength. Three, because people that were initially indifferent are now beginning to develop interest in a way of manner that is projecting confidence and showing signs of victory for the party. The influx of people into the ruling APC is such that it's telling the people or telling the party that it is the party to beat come 2027.
So, you do realize that we currently are dealing with a cost of living crisis. Life is harder now for most Nigerians. Rent is much more expensive, transportation costs more, education costs more, feeding costs more, everything costs more. Why are you so certain that Nigerians are still satisfied when they're barely able to make ends meet?
Because life expectancy, in spite of all these things you painted as more, life expectancy is also more now under this regime because of the improvement in healthcare, because of the improvement in public enlightenment on education, because of the change in the quality of life in the country. Yes, there are certain things that at the initial stage, because of the reforms introduced, have made people to cut down on their intake, have made people to hold back on their spending, and has given a kind of uncertainty. But now with the results we are getting regarding the food, the crash in the cost of foodstuff, regarding the changes in the way and manner things are being done, people have now learned how to play economics with their lifestyle, as against the extravaganza that was in display before.
What extravaganza? The last 8 years before the Tinubu administration came on board, you had the Buhari government. Are you saying that there was extravaganza under the Buhari administration when we had 2 recessions and a pandemic? Well, when did extravaganza exactly happen?
We had 2 recessions and we came out of them within a very short period of time.
And then we had
nowhere in the
pandemic.
world, no country had witnessed 2 recessions and came out of it alive. No
Actually,
country.
There are so many countries.
No country.
There are so many countries.
There
are so many countries.
I say there isn't. Check. The issue is that, you see, people tend to forget. People tend to forget. We had recession, quite all right, and we came out of that recession. Some countries are still in that recession.
Which countries exactly are you referring to? There is nothing special about our recession.
There is. There is.
What was special about it?
I don't want to blow the trumpet of late President Muhammad Buhari. He is late now. May his soul rest in peace. But Buhari's economics have actually given Nigerians the breather they needed to have a different approach to life. And President Bala Ahmed Tinubu has come to add value to that. And as a result of those attempts or those actions that are put in place, now people have come to realize that you no longer need to be moving with 5 cars. You don't need them because we're having functional transport system.
Are you talking about the 1%? Because most Nigerians don't have cars.
They don't need them. They don't need them if you have...
Because they can't afford them. I'm not sure they don't need them is the right answer, because they can't afford them. But the bigger question is, you talk about how the Buhari administration has put Nigeria's economy on a pedestal. Meanwhile, what we're hearing from the Tinubu administration is that Nigeria's economy was on life support when the president came in. So which one is it? Did Buhari hand over a good economy to Tinubu, or did he hand over a dying economy to the Bala Ahmed Tinubu administration? Because we keep hearing conflicting reports. I mean, now you're telling me that he inherited a good economy. Meanwhile, his ministers and his aides are talking about how he has saved the Nigerian economy from dying, from collapse.
You see, I think sometimes when we come to have this argument, before we come into the studio, we should check certain things with regards the economic index, foreign reserve, the level of inflation, the value of the naira, our import, our export, and use these indices to make our own discussions. You see, check the reserve of this country from the time the Tinubu administration came to power to date, and see the position of Nigeria. Look at Nigeria. Foreign countries are falling over each other to lend money to Nigeria because of the confidence they have in the ability of the country to pay. Now, no country will lend money to you if you're on life support. Economically, no country will do that because it's suicidal.
You're countering the argument of other APC folks.
Who says that?
It's APC that is saying that the administration took over a dead economy. Not anybody else.
No,
not opposition.
No, you see, when you
so
say...
this is an argument within APC.
When you say APC,
right,
you have to... You see, some people are actually ADC, and they mispronounce their party, and it sounds like APC when actually it's ADC, mispronounced.
Are there ADC ministers in the government?
We even have a PDP minister in this government. This is the only government that gives a strategic ministry to the opposition.
I think Obasanjo did it long before the Tinubu administration came on board.
Who gave FCT to opposition? Obasanjo?
You think FCT is more important than all the ministries that Obasanjo gave?
That's where the president is.
Right, okay. But that's not the question. And I think you're digressing deliberately. But my point is this. What do you want Nigerians to believe? Did Tinubu administration inherit a good economy, or did it inherit a bad economy? Which is it?
The Tinubu administration inherited an economy from the APC administration. It had improved on the economy it inherited, and it is continuously improving, and is going to hand over to another APC president in a better shape. If this president is the one that continue, his left hand would hand over to his right hand an economy that is manageable and better to handle.
Bala Ibrahim, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics this evening. I appreciate you very much for the analysis. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to when you're going to vote for us.
All right. I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. But thank you so much for stopping by anyways. That is our show for you tonight. Thank you, Moskale, for joining us on Daily Politics We'll be back tomorrow live and exclusive on Trust TV at 8 p.m. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.